We're back on Morning Trade Live. Let's focus on Amazon. The stock hitting a new all-time high today after a strong third quarter earnings report that included 20% growth in its cloud division. It's been a long way back above $240 for this stock. Shares finally breaking the new highs we saw in February after a tariff-related April sell-off and recovery, followed by 3 months of sideways trading. Let's focus in now on Amazon. Joining us for a closer look at this name is the host of Next Gen Investing today, Jenny Horn. Thanks so much for joining us, Jenny. So obviously we've had some time to digest these numbers. That $33 billion on AWS was very encouraging. It's getting rewarded as far as the stock is concerned today. What are the analysts saying? Good morning to you.
Good morning, Sam. I know it's nice to talk about, what was a clear win for a company that was frankly in need of it. Amazon is our worst performing Mag 7 this month so far, of course, closing out the month today, but also has looked like a bit of a laggard when you take the last 3 years. And a lot of this has been criticism about their monetization and really their effort into AI. And so I think that it's important to remember AWS is the largest cloud provider in the world, but further strengthening that tone that they are dominant for a reason. And we were seeing a huge move this morning pre-market where we were expecting the market value of this company to increase by as much as $330 billion just in today's session. We've pulled back a bit from those all-time highs, but now propelling shares into positive territory this year, and hugely on the back of all things AWS. Andy Jassy did say they haven't grown at this pace since 2022, and that they expect now CapEx to be around $125 billion and higher next year, without providing specific details on, again, fiscal year that's coming. But they did book roughly $89.9 billion in CapEx through the first 3 quarters, largely on these AI projects. So AWS, well, it's right now does typically account for about 15% of their total revenue, but it's a huge profit engine, making up roughly 60% of their total operating income. That's exactly why we pay so much attention to it, and of course, coupled with all the enthusiasm tied to AI. But Jassy, who's usually pretty subdued on these earnings calls, I frankly love listening to them because you get such a good read on the leadership. He was abnormally exuberant, I'll say. He was so enthusiastic, which has felt unusual. But he said they look at the momentum they have right now, and he believes they can continue to grow and click like this for a while. It says there's multiple places where we can continue to grow, and also reference then advertising and retail sales. So advertising was another bright spot. Sales increased 24% year over year. They've been placing a greater emphasis on this sponsored content and finding new places for higher ad volume, like their Echo show screens and these high-tech grocery shopping carts. So did mention that they did take a one-time charge, $25 billion in relation to the FTC allegations over their Prime membership debacle with consumers. So that was at least now in the past. And right now note that these layoffs that we've discussed pretty heavily were not financially driven, and that it's really AI driven. It's culture, Andy Jassy said. He said Amazon's growth had created too many layers of workers, and it can lead you to slowing down. Frame it how you want. 30,000 jobs as a part of this broader aggregate push to trim their workforce is a significant amount. But that was obviously not the focus. It's really, I think, just cementing, though, the continual build of AI as we've seen from, all 5 of our Mag 7s who've reported this week.
Yeah, absolutely. A great breakdown, and I see it's earned itself quite a number of price target boosts from the street as well off the back of that impressive report. Thank you so much for that, Jenny. Let's trade it now with Dan Deming, Managing Partner, KKM Financial. Very good morning to you, Dan. Happy Friday. How are you approaching your example trade for this name?
Yeah, good morning, Sam. Yeah, you look at the price action today, and, we did see that big move higher, but we're off those intraday highs. And I think, at least for the next month or two, there could be some hesitation here in Amazon after this big move higher. As you pointed out, it really hasn't done much for the last several months. And this is an outlier, but I don't know if it really has some escape momentum here to continue to maintain upward price action. So today's trade example is to capture some downside range, but have the opportunity to get put in a stock at a better level. So today's trade example is buying a December 245, 230 put 1 by 2. So you're selling an extra put down below, and basically you can do that for anywhere around 50 cents to 75 cents here. So it doesn't really cost too much to put this trade on. but it gives you a nice range to the downside. The break even to the bottom end of this is 216 before it starts losing money. But the idea here is to capture a range back down towards the levels that we were trading at before the earnings announcement and have the opportunity, should we trade below 230, to get put in the stock at a much better level.
Okay, a good look at Amazon off the back of its earnings report. And as I said, it's getting rewarded today, up at 10% right now in double digits. Just your overall thoughts on the broader market action today, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, dispersion, once again, I mean, you're seeing the big spread between some of the sectors that are lagging and the sectors that continue to outperform. That's something that we're keeping a close eye on. You know, that certainly has expanded this week, and I think it's getting to a point where it's not necessarily great for the foundation of the market, at least from a short-term perspective. The other thing I'm watching, Sam, is the U.S. dollar. Certainly a lot of shorting of the U.S. dollar, a lot of talk about how it's going to continue to decline, yet here we are pushing back up towards those August highs and not get too far away from parity. So those are the themes I'm watching today.
Absolutely. Okay, Dan, thank you so much to cap off what has been a very, very busy week here. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. Dan Deming, Managing Partner, KKM Financial there.